ASMR Coffin Radio.
Welcome to another exciting episode of Coffin Radio. I'm Heartthrob Rob. Today we are watching Dave, Season 2, Episode 9, Enlightened Dave. The bio here reads, Dave journeys to a legendary recording studio, hoping to break through his creative block, but is forced to confront his greatest obstacle, his own ego. We have a great episode here, man. Craziest episode. This is one's like a dream episode. It's definitely a trip. Dave goes to Rick Rubin's house. He gets hooked up from Benny Blanco, and he gets to go to Rick Rubin's house. At Rick Rubin's house, it's splendor. Everything's wild. Everything's opened up. It's that bright white on everything. Super serene. He even calls the place... He even calls the place Shangri-La. He calls it Shangri-La after like this paradise or whatever. So he goes and he thinks he's talking to Rick Rubin because it's like some guy from behind, long white hair, white guy. And it's not Rick Rubin, it's just the help. So he gets help from this groundskeeper and then the guy who's like Rick Rubin's second in command. So he has to ask these questions. I mean, they make him do weird stuff like write down your deep, darkest fears and bury it somewhere on the property for you to not see. And Dave's really excited because, he wants to be with Rick Rubin, who'd made, hits with the Beastie Boys, the early Def Jam days. He's done stuff with metal bands, Jay-Z. He's just been a big-time producer, done stuff with Kanye, obviously, as well. So when Dave thinks he's going to finally record, with Rick Rubin, they tell him, we're going to take you into a hyperbolic chamber or, the sleep deprivation or whatever it might be. And, where you're just in this tube with like water and you're just bouncing in there, right? So he goes in there and immediately he's in the dream world. So Dave is just in this dream kind of just spaced out thing, and it's him at working as a chef. And in it, he's got Mike hounding him, telling him, we need the food right now, blah, blah, blah. He sees Dan, the guy who is helping him, his assistant, who's like still stuck in Japan or whatever it is. Gaeta's there helping him out, helping him cook food. He even at a point cuts off Gaeta's arm to serve to the people. We see L's in there as well, who can't help Dave. He's cooking up his own masterpiece, showing that still the distance that Dave and L's are having. We see his cameraman, I forget her name on the show, but the cameraman, we see Dave's ex there as well. He apologizes to her and she says he's not sorry. But finally, Dave has to cut Gaeta's arm, take a whole bunch of his arm to serve to everybody. They're saying how good it is, but immediately after they're finished, they just want more. So Dave's just tripping. It's this weird, hidden clues. It's the way he talks to these people is the way that he's feeling. And finally, after this restaurant scene, we have this scene where he goes and he fights his own ego or has this confrontation with his ego, which is just him naked, painted white with like this little diaper-esque thing on. And he's crazy and he's dancing. And dude, Dave can really act because the second him, this like mean him, like this asshole version of him, he can really act. He's funny. It's just a crazy scene to see him fight. And, and he realizes when he's talking to his ego, he thinks he has to kill it, but he's realizing it's not true. He doesn't really use his comedy as a crutch, as jokes as a crutch. He more uses, this second, to him doubting himself questioning everything. So he notices the real message here is that he is holding himself back and he needs to let it all go. And as he's about to get this big, huge awakening, all of a sudden he starts coughing up water and water comes pouring out of his mouth. And it seems like he was in the hyperbolic chamber too long. He was choking on the water. The guys had to revive him and all this stuff. Finally comes to, starts puking up water, runs to the recording room and starts recording the single that Dave's ego was singing to him. And that's the end of the episode. Crazy Rick Rubin. No, Rick Rubin doesn't even make an appearance at all. Supposedly you see him in the background, but that's about it. But it's a good episode. It's just a real trip. It's a dream episode, but it's a super trip. A lot of things for you to catch, just how the way he feels with everybody. It's really good. I liked it. 2 thumbs up from me. But let me know what you guys think about it. We'll talk about it in the comments. Make sure you like, subscribe. And if you like what you're watching, then hop in the coffin. Follow us on social media at Coffin Radio. Coffin is spelled with a K. And that's all for today.
ASMR Coffin Radio.